Okay, so this is lesson 14, completing the square. I'm going to start off with just the steps for completing the square, because if you missed them in today's lesson, or if you just don't have these notes, here they are. So what we're doing is we're starting with a quadratic in standard form. Right, so starting with it in quadratic form, I'm assuming that when I give you these steps. If it's not in standard form, you need to make it in standard form first, and I'll give you an example of that. Now, standard form looks like this. ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. A, b, and c are just the names that we give to the numbers that are in front of the variables, right? So a is the number that's on the x squared, b is the number that's on the x, and c is the number that's by itself that doesn't have an x or a variable at all. So here are the steps that we have to do in this order. And if you want to do some example problems like this, you might want to leave this page up, just sort of pause this and follow the steps. I guarantee if you follow the steps, you can get to at least this point, no problem. So what we have to do, we move the c term to the right. That's the last term, the number, okay? We move it to the right side of the equal sign by using addition or subtraction. Then we take the number b, this guy in here, we move him over to the sidebar. That's what I'm calling the margin over here. We're going to have to do a little bit of scratch work in the middle of this, so we'll do that sort of over here in the margin. So that's my sidebar. You're going to divide b by 2. Then you're going to square the result. You're going to add this number back into both sides of the equation, and the left side is going to become something nice and simple, which is going to be x, or whatever the variable is, plus this b divided by 2 result, squared. I'll show you an example, and then I'll show you an example where it's not in standard form already. So let's walk through one or two of these. I'll pick one from the front that's in standard form already. I'm just going to switch pages. Okay. So let me take one of these. I'll take this one. The equation is n squared minus 16n plus 28, not 88, 28 is equal to 0. I'm going to take this guy over to another page so I have a little bit of room to work. We'll cut that. Okay, so this is the original equation here. Let's follow the steps. Do we have an equation in standard form? Yes, we do. It's the n squared, and then the n, and then the number. So that fits, and it's equal to 0. So what do I have to do? I probably want to know what these numbers are first, just in case. This is a, this is b, and this is c. I need to move the c term over first. So how do I get rid of a positive 28? I subtract it. Minus 28, minus 28. You have to subtract it on both sides because equations need to stay balanced. So I get n squared minus 16n is equal to negative 28. Now if you get good at completing the square, you always know to leave this little space here because it makes your life easier in a second. The next step in my steps list, is to take the b term, which is this guy, and I'm going to put him over into the sidebar. So a little sidebar space over here. That number negative 16. The steps say to divide him by 2, so that's going to be negative 8. I know that this guy is going to be important, so I'm going to put the I on him. The result of the division is always important. And now I have to square it. Negative 8 squared should always be squared with parentheses when you square a negative. Negative 8 squared is negative 8 times negative 8, which is positive 64. Now the next step tells me to take that and put it back into both sides of the equation. I'll do that in another color. So I'm going to take that 64 and I'm going to put them in here. Plus 64 plus 64. Now I'm going to rewrite the right hand side of the equals sign. I'm getting a little slanted here, so let me fix this. It's equal to negative 28 plus 64. So that's the same thing as 64 minus 28, which is going to be 36. Yeah, 36. Okay. Just didn't want to bust out a calculator. So that's going to be equal to 36. On the left-hand side, if you didn't believe me about this whole b divided by 2 thing, two numbers that'll add to negative 16 and multiply to 64. Go ahead, pause, list out the factors of 64. 64 is 8 times 8. Oh wait, those would add up to 16, but it's got to be negative, so negative 8 and negative 8. So essentially I can turn this into n minus, that's a messy n minus 8 and n minus 8. Go ahead and check those. Negative 8 plus negative 8 equals negative 16. Negative 8 times negative 8 is 64. So that fits. I already knew that because of this guy right here. It's always going to be this number, the result of the division. It's always going to be that. And now technically n minus 8 times n minus 8 is n minus 8 squared. That's what a square is, something times itself. That's going to be equal to 36. Now this is cool because I started with something that couldn't be factored and now I factored it. But in order to finish, I need to get the n equals. So here are the steps. I need to square root both sides in order to cancel out this square. I just have to square root the right side because you have to balance equations. So when I square root the left, I need to square root the right. Now, on the left, the square and the square root canceled out, so I just have n minus 8. On the right, what's the square root of 36? It's 6. Except it has to be plus or minus 6. When you introduce a square root to cancel out a square, you must add a plus or minus. Now, plus or minus is not some weird term or some new operation. Plus minus just means that there are two solutions. One is with a plus and one is with a minus. So I'll finish and show you what I mean by that. So here, I haven't got n quite by itself yet. I'm just going to do plus 8 on both sides. Plus 8, plus 8. Those cancel out. And I get n is equal to 8 plus or minus 6. Remember, plus or minus is two solutions. So I have two solutions. I've got 8 plus 6, and I've got 8 minus 6. 8 plus 6 is 14. 8 minus 6 is 2. These are both my solutions. And now I'm done. And that's completing the square. So we found the roots of an equation that didn't look like it could be factored or may not have been factorable at all. Now I'm going to start an example that looks like the homework. One of those examples is page 5. No, page 4. Number 15. My steps for completing the square say starting with a quadratic equation in standard form, right? This is not standard form. This does not look right. I'm supposed to have an x squared and then an x and then a number and it's supposed to be equal to 0. That's what it's supposed to look like. So how can I get that? Well, I don't have equal to 0, so let me move this 2x over by subtracting him. Minus 2x. And now I want to put them in the right order. X squared minus 2x minus 10 is equal to what? 0. Okay? So you want to use completing the square on that guy. Because now he's in standard form. That's the same equation, but now he's the way I want him. So this is going to be A, this is going to be B, and this is going to be C, and you can go about those steps like regular. One more example of that. Number 19. I've got my x squared on the left, but I don't have anything else there, so let me do a couple things. Let me add 2x. I've got x squared plus 2x equals 49. If you really want to move that over as well, you can, and then start the steps from there. If you are intuitive, if you see the patterns, then you may notice that this is already the c term moved over to the right-hand side. So for an example like that, we're already done with step 1. We can sort of check that guy off. The c term is already moved to the right. If you don't see that, then let's move them to the right and just start the steps in the beginning. So to move the 49, that's a positive 49, I have to use subtraction. Minus 49 minus 49. And I get x squared plus 2x minus 49 equals 0. And now you can CTS that guy. So just follow the steps, you can complete the square, and you'll be good. So good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow. Or if you're watching this video later, maybe I've already seen you.